and welcome to Sports Lab NRL. I'm Eloise Sohier, and with me are NRL greats Josh Morris, Chris Lawrence, and alongside us is stats guru Tim Williams. Well, the Titans are still wondering how they let a 26-point lead slip against the Dolphins, and the rest of us are wondering how far Wayne Bennett's men can go this season. Gents, great to be alongside you once again. What an incredible comeback. I think there's only one other side that's done it before, and that's North Queensland Cowboys. Josh, could you believe what you were seeing?
Oh, it was an unbelievable game of football. I think that try before half-time really helped the Dolphins going into half-time, and you do wonder what Wayne Bennett said to them because they look like a completely different side. The Titans, they just went into their shell and stopped playing football, and it could have been more. Jennings bombed a couple of tries, it be said, but you got to wonder what's going on with the Titans after that performance in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. Wayne Bennett was tight-lipped about what he said at halftime. In fact, he said, I actually can't remember, but have you ever seen a side come from that sort of behind? What do you think Wayne Bennett could have said to his men to stick in there, have some confidence, or what would have been the message? Or would have been not much at all?
I think it would have been a lot around confidence, just getting the fundamentals right. I don't think he probably would have expected them to come back so quickly. As Josh said, they could have made it a lot. A few more tries, and they really ran down that lead with plenty of time. So I think he would have said, if you come out and do the fundamentals right in the first 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to give yourself an opportunity. But he's a master, Wayne Bennett, in doing that. And yeah, it was a very rare occasion to see that run down.
Tim, I will get to you in a moment, but I just want to ask Josh or Chris, have you ever been in a game like that before in your career, in the time where you've come from behind or had a team put points on you like that?
Yes, we nearly got run down. I think it was against Parramatta. I think we were 30-6 up at halftime or thereabouts, and we won, I think, 32-30. So we nearly let that one sleep. So I can feel for the Titans, and when the momentum's against you in rugby league, it doesn't matter who you're playing against, it's very, very hard to stop. And sometimes the harder you try, you're sort of digging yourself a deeper hole.
Do the Dolphins have enough in it? Are we convinced by what we've seen through the first opening 8 rounds, or 8-9 rounds, that they can be in the top 8, Tim?
Look, they certainly can be, Eloise. That they've shown that they can be competitive enough to compete for a top 8 position. I look, without sounding like too much of a cynic, I'm still a little bit sceptical in them going all 8. You know, it's a long, long season ahead.
Why are you sceptical?
I just think with every injury that comes, that the depth in their roster is going to get tested more and more and more. They're already on about their 3rd or 4th string halves combination. Anthony Milford's due back in coming weeks as well, but even so, like, it's a big ask for Isaiah Katoa as an 18-year-old to go through an entire season. So, look, we sort of thought the wheels were falling off on the weekend at halftime. Yeah. You thought, here, it's finally happened, and then once again, they proved us wrong.
And points as well. I mean, they're leaking a lot of points. Coming down to the business end of the season, you only really want to be leaking 2 tries if you're going to be competitive, and at the moment, they're just not doing that.
In saying that, though, the confidence that would give them, knowing they can run a team down, sometimes if you're hanging in a game and you know that you have the ability to come and snatch a win at the death, and if you do it once and twice, it builds that confidence that they may not be playing well or might leak 20 points in the first half, but if they have that ability, they've done that there before, they're going to jag a few more wins like that.
Well, one thing they have done before is beat the Raiders already this season in 2023. They come up against them this weekend in Wagga. Another confidence boost. Can they do it again for the second time?
Yeah, I think they can. I think they've proven that they can beat them already, and it was pretty bad conditions that day. It was quite rainy, but they played their gritty style of football, and that got them the win. So I think they can go down to Wagga very confident. It might be a bit chillier, but I think they can get the job done. Well,
looking at the other team that the Dolphins come up against, of course, was the Titans. They come up against the Seagulls this weekend. What do we think about the Titans in terms of letting those many points, conceding that many points and coming away with a loss after leading so far along at half-time? What can we expect from the Titans this week?
I think it's been a bit of a pattern. They've started really well and either let go of leads or have really allowed teams to blow them off the park in that second half. So I think a big thing for them, and I know they'll probably be working on this week, is starting that second half the manner they start the first half, because they do come out and sometimes blow teams off the park, but against a side like Manly, who are going to go to the death with you, they have to make sure that they really come out at halftime and start well and do the fundamentals right. If they complete well and kick to corners, they don't give themselves an opportunity to leak those early points in that second half.
AJ Brimson was a standout for a losing side, Tim Williams. He had a number of 192 metres and 3 line breaks from fullback. Sorry, I'm taking over your stats here, but what did you like of AJ Brimson's game?
No, please fire away with it. Makes my job very easy. AJ Brimson, I think, is really underrated. We know he's played Origin. He's done a job there, but each and every week for the Titans, he's an absolute star. Now, we look at the Titans and their roster, and over the years, they've always been able to attack, and Brimson is such a big part of that. Defence has been their issue, and I'm keen to get your boys' thoughts on their defence, because I thought this year they recruited in a really clever manner, getting in defensive-oriented guys like Sam Verrills, who's obviously injured now. Aaron Schopp has been dropped. Kieran Foran. They still can't work out their defence. Like, what have they got to do?
I think from AJ Brimson's point of view, or whoever plays fullback, their role is to be the communicator and be the connector. A lot of times when you're leaking points, it's not so much about your middle of the ruck, it's about the connections on the edges, and your fullback is a massive part of it. You see all the good fullbacks in the good defensive teams, it's because of their work rate and then plugging holes and directing people around. That might be something that, again, AJ needed to work on his game, and that might be something that can really improve the Titans' defence.
Well, he will be tested this weekend up against Tom Trbojevic, who has been named for the Seagulls, but we know he is looking a bit ginger at the moment. Well, the Dolphins are already one of the storylines of the season, and we watch with interest to see whether their golden run continues. We are a third of the way through the season. We have asked our panel to recast the end of season predictions. Firstly, let's take a look at the top four. And Josh, you can't find room for the Broncos.
No, I think they've got a tough month coming up. Plus, they've got the Origin period where they'll have a few players out. I've got them just missing the top four, but I think the Roosters can sneak in as well. They haven't really had their full strength side yet, and I think they can string a few in that Origin period as well.
Chris, the Seagulls are there at the moment, but you don't see them being there at the end of the season?
No, I think it really hinges on Tommy Turbo. I think if he's fit and healthy, they're definitely a threat to win the comp, but without him, I can't see him winning the comp or making the top four.
Another bit of a surprising one, or surprising for me, Tim, is that you don't see the South making the top four this year.
Yeah, look, I actually have the Bunnies as genuine title contenders. I do think that they can be a little patchy with their form, and the issue with them is they lose so many players throughout the Origin period, and I reckon they'll drop games there. So I think they're going to need to be big through there, and I think that they'll finish 5th or 6th, but then be there at the business end.
Well, let's take a look at who'll be kicking the curb come finals time. I'm sorry to say, Chris, I've got to focus you on this one. Have you put a line through the West Tigers yet?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty obvious. I think if you haven't recorded a win yet, it's going to be very, very difficult to make the top 8.
Well, you know, miracles can happen. Tim, no Dolphins or Raiders for you in the top 8 come 2023 season end?
Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, I think the Dolphins just a long season ahead. I'm not sure they can sustain it. The Raiders, look, they're a chance. They're playing okay footy. I think they lack a bit of strike power at the moment to really compete with the bottom end of the top 8.
And Josh, no Raiders or Dragons?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Tim said there. And you know, the Dragons had a really good Anzac Day, but you know, they just haven't been playing good enough football to make the 8, in my opinion.
All right, well, let's focus on the positive. Let's get our final predictions who we think is going to win the premiership for 2023. Tim, I'll start with you.
Panthers are a big chance to go 3 on the trot, but I think the Sharkies are the Smokies. They're playing great footy, elite attack. I like them.
We love a Smoky. Josh?
Yeah, I'm sticking with the brother here. I think the Roosters still can get the job done. As I said, they still haven't had their full strength side together, and once they get that together and gel, I think they'll be very hard to beat.
I'm sure you get some brownie points from Brett for that one. And Chris, the South.
Yes, I'm with South. I've jumped off the Roosters. I just think, you know, the last couple of weeks that South has just showed how dangerous they are, and their ability to execute and win games from anywhere. It's going to come and be a big play at the back end of the year.
Yeah, can't wait for it. There are certainly some bold predictions from our panel and 1 or 2 major surprises. We'll see how their picks stack up in the coming months. Let's take a look at one of the games this season. And Chris, you can see the Rabbitohs bringing the Broncos back down to earth in what is a genuine top 4 shootout.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a great game. I think, you know, missing Payne Haas and Ezra Mam, I think that's, you know, 2 really big outs for the Broncos. And I think South coming off the win against Penrith just shown how dangerous they can be. And they're a momentum team. They've got a lot of confidence and momentum, and I think they can get a big win.
Tim, no Ezra Mam. Jock Madden comes into the halves. What do we know about his game?
Jock Madden obviously spent time at the Tigers the last couple of seasons, and he's been really good when he's had to deputise in the halves at any sort of level. So I really like Jock Madden. He's a very solid replacement. He's not Ezra Mam though. He's not the same NRL quality as Ezra Mam, I don't think so. They're big shoes to fill, but we'll see how he goes.
A couple of battles out in the field. Fullback, obviously we've got Reece Walsh and also still Latrell Mitchell. We've got Adam Reynolds and Lachlan Ilias. What do you like about those 2 matchups, Josh?
Yeah, well, it's the old dog versus the young dog. Adam Reynolds has really been steering the team well, and Ilias has been doing the same for the Rabbitohs, and then Reece Walsh has been lighting up the park, but in the past 3 weeks, Latrell Mitchell's been the best player in the game. So I think whoever has the better of the game in that fullback, I think gets the win.
Do you think it's going to be the Rabbitohs or do you think it's going to be Broncos?
I think it's going to be the Rabbitohs.
There you have it. Games don't get much bigger than this.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. Chances are you're about to lose.
Let's look at the Sharks and Cowboys clash. Josh, the Cowboys broke through from much-needed win last week. Can they bring that winning form into this weekend's game against the Sharks?
They can. They weren't convincing against the Knights, but they got the job done, and they have won down there before. But I think the Sharks are in a lot better form. I think Will Kennedy, outstanding against Bulldogs, had a hat-trick, and Nicho Hynes is just getting better each week. So I think the Sharks are going to get the job done.
Chris, we do know that the Cowboys are playing for the Paul Green medal this weekend, which adds a lot of emotion to this game. Is that perhaps the factor that they can get over the line of the Sharks?
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely going to want to, play and get up for this game. Obviously, Paul Green being the inaugural premiership winning coach for the Cowboys, he means a lot to that club. Yes, they weren't convincing last week, but sometimes when you are out of form, having those ugly type wins and knowing you can get the job done is what you need to build some confidence. I really think they'll bounce back off that. I still think the Sharks will get the win, but I think it'll be a lot closer than a lot of people think.
What do you like about the Sharks at the moment? Who's really impressing you most? Obviously, outside of Nicho Hynes there, too.
Outside of Nicho Hynes, look, there's a few options there. Blake Brayley, I thought, has been terrific this season. I think his running game from hooker's really come about. But Josh mentioned him earlier, Will Kennedy. I think he's one of the most underrated and probably unappreciated fullbacks in the competition. He gets the job done each and every week, in attack, in defence. Like, his positioning in defence is excellent. And I've got him up there with certainly one of the better fullbacks in the competition. Maybe not the elite tier with Tedesco and Latrell, but he's been wonderful. And I think the Sharkies, these two teams look worlds apart on form. So I think the Sharkies will be far too strong.
Yeah, there you have it. It sure will be an emotionally charged night in the Shire as two vital competition points go on the line. It's time to take a look at some other key games and the panel's round 9 tips. The Knights have been competitive, but will start as outsiders against the Eels at Combank Stadium on Friday night. Tim, the Eels, they're in need of a win.
They are in need of a win. They are obviously coming up to the origin period as well. They'll lose one or two players there. So they're just so hard to get a gauge on, the Parramatta Eels, and it was the exact same as last year. I mean, they could lose the next 3 in a row and you wouldn't count them out as being title contenders. It was the exact same in 2022. So, look, it's not a must-win game for them, but they don't want that bit pressure to build up too much. So, big game.
Yeah, I think it is a must-win game for them. I think, if they don't start stringing some wins together, I think they're in serious risk of missing the top 8. I think they will come good at a certain point, but you still need to really start banking some of these wins to give them the confidence. I really think they're still struggling to find that connection with Josh Hodgson there at 9. I think they're going to have to make a decision very soon on how they, or just try and work out what is the best way to utilise him to get the best out of the other halves.
You're going to say
something? I agree, and I don't think we're seeing the best out of Dylan Brown at the moment either. He's very quiet against the Broncos, and the forward pack need to aim up this week. They were totally outclassed in that first half of football against the Broncos. So if they come with that same attitude, well, then they can be on the end of a loss. Let's
quickly just touch on the Knights and them coming into this game. Kalen Ponga, is he better for that run last week up there in North Queensland?
Ponga, absolutely better for the run. He looked quite good. He was a little bit standoffish early on when he came in off the bench, obviously starting at 5'8" Fulham this week. The biggest thing for the Knights this season, their back 3, I think Miller and Marju in particular have been terrific. Dom Young just coming out of their own end. It just gets their sets off to such better starts. There's some defensive lapses in them, but it's just changed that side this year.
Okay, well, the Roosters and the Warriors come off a bruising Anzac Day clash, and they meet this weekend in Auckland. Chris, you see the Roosters coming up on top here?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be a very close clash. The Warriors, probably exceeded everyone's expectations in the way they're playing. They're playing some really consistent football week in, week out, and defensively they're turning up for one another. I find it really hard to get a gauge on the Roosters at the moment. I do think they're the better team, and I think if they do turn it on, they can really, put the Warriors to the sword. But I'm just not sure what Roosters team they're going to get. Obviously, they have a new halves combination, and it may have been a bit clunky. That's in its second week, so I still think they're going to do enough to get the win.
Daniel Tupou went down with a hamstring injury. He's going to likely not be there for a number of weeks. How does that sort of shape up in terms of the way that they line up, Josh?
Oh, I think they can easily replace Tupou there with Corey Allen. I think the Warriors probably have more of a concern. They're losing Tohu Harris, Jazz Tavaga, Dylan Walker, Shans Nickel-Klokstad. So they've got some big outs in their side. That Anzac Day was bruising for them. So on the back of those losses, I think the Roosters, firm as favourites to get the job done here.
Well, two desperate sides finish off round 9 when the Dragons host the Bulldogs in Wollongong. Tim, where do you see this one going?
It's a tough one because the Dragons are on that quick backup from Anzac Day, so it's a short turnaround. As far as being a team goes and who I think will finish higher on the ladder this year, I'd be pretty confident in saying the Bulldogs, but a bit like the Warriors, they can't take a trick with injuries this season. We now see, obviously, Kyle Flanagan's been dropped there, Josh Reynolds, he's come into the halves. I wouldn't be surprised to see young Carl Oluwapu, the 18-year-old who we've spoken a bit about this season, come in and play off the bench. I think they're going to try and ease him into a starting halves role. Really excited for that if it does eventuate this week. But I just think due to less injury concerns, the Dragons come out on top.
How do you see that new halves pairing impacting the Bulldogs this weekend? Is that an easy fit for them, or how does that sort of impact their game?
Look, it might be a bit of troubles with some of the connection pieces there, but I've got the Dogs winning solely for the fact, Josh Reynolds is a high energy player. He comes with those effort areas, and if he leads the way with those type of effort areas, they can play a simple game, and you can have Matt Burton really running off the back of it with his kicking game and really executing late in the game. They haven't been playing bad football considering all the losses they have had, and if you bring someone like Josh Reynolds into any side with his high energy and enthusiasm, he's going to get the best out of the rest of the players.
Okay, let's have a quick recap of our round 9 tips. Tim is sticking with the favourites this week. Josh can see the Dolphins upsetting the Raiders, and Chris is tipping a Bulldogs win and giving the Tigers another chance. Cue the laughter. No offence to you. Sorry, Chris.
Solid. They've got to get the win sometime.
Penrith are overrated anyway, mate.
What have they done the last couple of years?
That's our show for this week. Thanks, team. What a round of matches we have in store. Don't forget to subscribe below and follow us on socials. We'll be back with Fox Sports Lab NRL next week.
You know it's a better betting app when you've got stats and insights for every major game and race. Plus expert opinions from the best minds in the game, all in the palm of your hand. That's better. Chances are you're about to lose.